I wanted to record some thoughts on, I say it's not really a problem, it's kind of a nice problem to have, but a problem nonetheless on the Newcastle back five, especially in the fullback areas. It's quite interesting, I think, that a lot of fans from who I speak to and who I read about online, a lot of fans are quite keen on the idea of us playing Ramsey in goal, Tino right back, Chow, Botman and Hall at left back. And it's interesting to me that we appear to be like quite far away from that, just because we've got, Howe's very, very loyal to his team, he's loyal to his players, and form dictates that they should be playing. Defensively, I think we all agree that we've been good, we've been solid, and there's no need to rotate at this moment. Although with Champions League coming up and, domestic cups that will come up after that, there is going to be a requirement to rotate, and Howe acknowledged that in I think not the last, but the prior pre-match press conference. He acknowledged that there would need to be rotation, but it's going to be interesting because Howe's a guy who likes consistency, but it's not going to be possible with the schedule. That said, I wanted to focus more over on specifically Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall. Tino, for those of us that remember, started out last season at right back, and I think he struggled a fair bit to the point where Trippier came in at right back, and Hall, we all remember, was probably our best player up until he got injured, and probably the best left back in the league. Got himself into the England team, was looking absolutely brilliant until his injury, and Livramento went in at left back and had a fantastic second half of the season. My worry, and I think the worry of others, is that Livramento is probably a better left back than he is right back. And that does concern me because I don't think we can afford not to have Lewis Hall in this team. I think he offers us so much defensively, moreover attacking wise and balance, because both of our left forwards in Barnes and Gordon, they're right-footed left forwards, always cutting in. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it works with Tino. Although he's always going to be looking to cut in onto his right, he's so quick and dynamic. It still works, but I do like what Hall brings. The fact that he's left-footed as well also, I think, helps. My worry is, what do we do? I think that, personally, the sooner we move Tino over to the right and Hall into the left, the better. We've got Wolves coming up, and I don't expect there to be any changes, and you would argue with a low block, Trippier is the sort of guy you want playing, because he is someone who is much more comfortable with the ball at his feet. He can unlock teams better than Livramento. Livramento is a dynamic, speedy winger who likes space to run into, and is probably better on the transition, as a lot of our players are. I think that's one of the problems we might have as the season goes on, is that we've got a lot of pace, power, but actually unlocking teams in a low block, I think is always going to be a challenge, and that's not something necessarily I think that Tino is currently able to do, as fantastic as he is. But I would like to see him get a run at right back, because I want Hall in at left back, and I think that it's brilliant having Tino in at left back, and he's been one of our best players, if not our best player this season. But I just worry about the long-term future and what that looks like, and I think the sooner we have Tino settled in at right back and hopefully excelling or performing better than he did this time last year, will give us that balance, and for me gets Lewis Hall in, which I think is so important. I really think, and I think a lot of the Premier League have forgotten about Hall, forgotten how good he was. Lewis Skelly came on at Arsenal last season, and people would talk about him a lot, but Hall's a better left back for me, and I think the future of England at left back too. So I would like to see that changed around, and I think that Trippier is going to be used a lot this season. I've been a massive advocate. You've got to keep Trippier for as long as possible. I'd like to see him stay on beyond this season. I know he's probably slowed down a little bit, but his leadership, his quality, both going forwards and defensively, and his versatility make him absolutely integral to what we're trying to do as a team. But I just want to see I don't want to see Livramento at left back for the entire season, because I just think it halts Hall's progression, and also halts Livramento's progression as at right back. Like, he's going to need to play minutes at right back, and I think we need to get him in there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, how rotates. Both Chow and Botman are players that are going to need minutes and a run. And I'm not too sure, like, even with the Champions League coming up, I don't know how Howe's going to do it, because you don't want to drop Shah and Burn for the Champions League games, because they're going to want to be playing in those two, and they're going to say they're going to be fit. So it's going to be really interesting to see. What I would like to see is, against a team like Wolves, when they're going to be presumably doing a lot of defending, it would be really nice to see Chow and Botman, two progressive centre-halves, potentially play. That's my thinking for that game, because they're the games where we're going to be more likely to have more possession. And do you then potentially put Burn and Shah in for the Barcelona game, where we might be wanting to play a bit more transitional on the counter-attack? Because let's face it, like, that's a game where we'd probably expect to have less possession. Just a thought. Be interesting to see how does it. But I'm very, very conscious we've got this conundrum. It's a good problem to have, but with the fullbacks that didn't play out last season because of Hall's injury. Well, Tino's form at the start and then Hall's injury. But we're in a position where hopefully they both stay fit, and a decision's going to need to be made. But I'm not entirely sure how it goes. But I think the sooner we move Tino back to right back, the better for him and the squad. But yeah, anyway, there are my thoughts on that. Thanks for listening.